Some choices cannot be undone. Some doors once closed stay closed forever. Bisola left everything: a faithful husband, four young children, a life that was hard, but hers, chasing the promise of wealth in a rich man's house. What she found instead was a gilded cage with five women holding the lock. Welcome to the part 2. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Now, let's begin the story. 2 years in Chief Adebayo's mansion, and Bisola had shrunk to nothing. She had come for wealth. She had become furniture, cleaned around, stepped over, never seen. The breaking point arrived on a Tuesday morning. She walked into the kitchen and found all four wives waiting, arranged like a tribunal. Alhaja, the first wife, regal, merciless, delivered the verdict. You will move into the boys' quarters. You will eat with the house help. Chief has agreed. You are nothing here, Yetunde added, savoring each word. Yoma, who had finally found someone who could look down on, smiled. Nike said nothing. She didn't need to. For 3 months, Bisola cleaned toilets she had once used. She washed underwear for women who walked past her without blinking. At Chief's fundraiser, serving drinks, she overheard two girls. Abandoned her own children for this? Look at her now, a glorified house girl. Something inside her closed, not with rage, with quiet final certainty. 3 a.m. She packed the few things that were truly hers. Nothing Chief had given her. Nothing from this place. She slipped through a gap in the fence she had spent weeks memorizing. She walked until her feet bled, until Lagos swallowed the mansion behind her. No money, no plan, no dignity left to protect. But for the first time in 2 years, she could breathe. It was the freedom of a woman with nothing left to lose, which is almost the same as a woman with nothing left to fear. Bisola slept her first night in a church parking lot, bag clutched to her chest. By day 3, hunger walked her like a booker, where she begged for leftovers. The owner handed her cold rice with the contempt reserved for people who should know better. She washed dishes for one meal and a corner of kitchen floor to sleep on. The heat from the stoves kept her warm. The memory of her children kept her awake. Kemi would be 9, Biodun 8, Tunde 6, and Fumi, her baby, 4 years old. Did Fumi even remember her face? The guilt wasn't grief. It was something living, something that ate. Months collapsed into years. She washed clothes as streams. She plaited hair under trees. Her once skilled fingers trembling from hunger. She moved between cities, Lagos to Ibadan, to Abeokuta, and back, as if motion could outrun regret. Other street women, who might have shown solidarity, heard her story and turned away. She leave pikin for them. A life sentence. The Lagos sun darkened her skin to leather. Hunger hollowed her cheeks. She aged 20 years in 5. 9 years after leaving, she woke under the Ojuelegba bridge and realized she could no longer clearly picture her children's faces. The forgetting was worse than any other punishment combined. She wept, ugly total sobs that shook her whole body. Passers-by looked and walked on. Lagos had no time for this. When it passed, a decision settled in her chest, small but solid. Find work, save money, find them, say sorry, not to be forgiven. She had surrendered the right to expect that, only to say the words to their faces so they would know she knew. It was barely a goal, but it was hers. Kola was pushing a wheelbarrow through Oyibo market when fate walked into him, literally. The man in the expensive suit who collided with him, froze, stared, and then grabbed him. Kola, Kola Adeyemi, Femi Okoye, secondary school. Both of them brilliant, both of them broke, both of them full of plans that life had scattered. Femi took in the wheelbarrow, the worn shoes, the four children, trailing behind their father like a small determined army. Femi 12 carried baby Fumi on her hip. Biodun and Tunde each gripped a box of fabric. These are your children? Femi bent to their level. You all look like warriors. Femi lifted her chin. We heard Papa. Something shifted in Femi's face. He pressed a business card into Kola's hand. Okoye Textiles, CEO, Femi Okoye. A partner, Femi said. Someone who knows the design from the ground up, not from a boardroom. You used to sketch the most incredible things in our notebooks. Do you still draw? Ola still drew. At home. In books he filled after midnight when the children slept. Dresses, agbadas, fabrics he could never afford to make. Dreams in pencil. He went to Victoria Island office the next morning in his one good shirt, portfolio under his arm, heart prepared for disappointment. The offer was real, a salary, equity, resources, a future. Why me? Kola asked. Femi's answer was honest. Because I have been ruthless and I am tired of it. Yesterday, I saw you pushing a barrow, children beside you, dignity intact. You didn't abandon them. You didn't quit. That's who I want next to me. The rise was steady, not sudden. Within 2 years, Kola's design was sold across Nigeria. Within six, his name was in magazines. The children thrived. Kemi entered law school. Biodu, medicine. Even Fumi, who had never known her mother, was excelling, loved fiercely by a father who had decided years ago that love means staying. He remarried. Adunola was kind and steady, a woman who chose a ready-made family and called it a gift. When people asked Kola his secret, he thought of the woman who left. Then he said simply, faithfulness. Be faithful with what you have, and God gives you more. 10 years after leaving Chief's mansion, Bisola stood outside an Ikeja employment agency in second-hand clothes that hung up her hollow frame. She had cropped herself raw. She had braided her own hair, though her hands still shook. She was 42 years old and looked 60. The newspaper ad said, housekeeper needed, live-in position. The address led to a house in Lekki. Elegant, quiet. A young woman answered the door. Beautiful. Something in her eyes was achingly familiar, but Bisola couldn't place it. My father will be down shortly, the young woman said. In the living room, Bisola saw photographs, a family growing through the years, a man who looked impossibly like someone she used to know. A wedding photo, the man older, confident, beside a woman in white who looked genuinely happy. Her heart lodged. Mama, the young woman was in the doorway, not warm, not welcoming, just shocked. Bisola whispered. Footsteps on the stairs, heavier, and then Kola stood at the bottom, frozen. He had changed entirely. The desperate thin man was gone. In his place, someone prosperous, settled, at peace. He looked at her the way you look at something you have long stopped expecting. Bisola, three other young people appeared behind Kemi. Biodu in medical scrubs, Tunde quiet-eyed and watchful, and Fumi a teenager now, studying this stranger with open curiosity and no recognition at all. Last came Adunola, a hand finding Kola's arm. Who is this? Kola's voice was careful, measured. This is Bisola. A pause that lasted a decade. The children's mother. The word mother hung in the room like smoke. Kola asked Adunola to take the younger children upstairs. The four older ones stayed. I came for the job, Bisola managed. I didn't know this was your house. the job. Kola repeated it slowly, almost to himself. You came to clean the house I built after you left us with nothing. Kemi shook with a decade of compressed fury. Do you know how many nights Papa cried? How many times we went hungry? How many times people looked at us with pity because our mother chose a rich man over our own children? Bisola told them everything. The chief, the wives, the boys' quarters, the streets, 9 years of it, offered not as excuse but as testimony. This is what I paid, and it wasn't enough. I was foolish and selfish, she said. I thought I couldn't survive the poverty. What I couldn't survive was being without you. Paula stood and walked to the window. Outside, his younger children played with Adonola in the garden. You were right about one thing, he said. The poverty was crushing. There were nights I wanted to stop. But then I would look at our children and remember they didn't ask to be born into it. They only asked to be loved. Real love means staying, especially when staying is hard. Kemi's voice caught. Are you sorry because you hurt us or because we thrived and you didn't? The question hung unanswerable. Even Bisola didn't know. Whom spoke last. No malice, only honesty. I don't remember you. Mama Adunola braided my hair. He helped with my homework. You are just a woman who shares my DNA. Brief words, total devastation. Ola handed Bisola an envelope. There is no job here, but there's enough inside to rent a room, buy tools, start again, and a contact, a woman who helps people like you rebuild. Why? Bisola said. Because I am not you. I don't abandon people when it's hard, even people who abandoned me. At the door, Bisola turned to the children one last time. Your father is a better man than I deserve. Don't ever forget that. Oh, we won't, Kemi said. He made sure of it. Outside, she passed the garden. Adunola's children laughed freely. The uncomplicated sound of kids who had never known abandonment. She had come for forgiveness and found something else. Proof that her absence had not broken them. It had only made them stronger, more compassionate, more determined. They had become better people because she left. That was the punishment she would carry the rest of her life. Thank you for watching. Kindly let me know in the comment section what you think about the story. Do well to subscribe, like, and share. See you on our next story. Bye.